In a bid for a nuclear deal with Iran, the Obama administration reportedly allowed the terror group Hezbollah to smuggle massive amounts, tons of cocaine into the United States. It was a stunning decision. Some congressional Republicans are demanding answers. Yesterday, two of them sent a letter to the Department of Justice demanding all documents they might have about this question. Many Democrats, meanwhile, argue this is both old news and a distraction, and, by the way, untrue. Richard Goodstein advised both of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaigns. He joins us tonight. Richard, thanks for coming on.
Sure. Happy to be here.
So here you have a piece written in Politico. It's a liberal publication, author probably liberal, quoting a number of people, interviewing dozens of Obama administration employees at Treasury and DEA, who said, in some cases on the record to testimony before Congress, that the Obama people slowed down the investigation to get the Iran deal. Why would they all lie about that?
Well, a couple things. This is a predicate. This smells like Benghazi, which is to say it's much ado, indeed, a lot to do about nothing, ultimately. The answer to your question is that the people who were named sources, why would they do it? Because they had a bias, which is to say they never liked the Iran deal from word go. And the people who later were asked to comment about the story, from John Brennan on down, they said there was nothing to this.
John Brennan?
Well, I'm just saying.
You mean the guy who's always jumping around on Twitter?
I'm saying the guy
John
who's
Brennan is not a credible. Okay, John Brennan is a ludicrous figure. So let me, and you'll read his Twitter feed if you don't believe me. But I want to get back to the motive here. So the author, again, for Politico, liberal publication, supported the Obama administration all 8 years, pretty consistently, interviewed Obama employees who said not that they didn't like the Iran deal, maybe they didn't like it, there are reasons not to like it, but very specifically the Obama people tried to squelch Operation Cassandra, an investigation, an operation designed to stop Hezbollah drug dealing in the Americas. Why would they lie about that?
Well, I don't know that they did lie, because if you look at the story, everything's kind of qualified, right? They talk about what might have happened, what could have happened. They talk about the fact that, well, the Czech Republic could have been pressured to do more to release somebody. I mean, it's one qualifier after another, and I think that speaks to the fact that those people who spoke, again, not for attribution, didn't really know. And the people who did know weren't interviewed for the record.
Well, it's the people who ran the program were quoted, who ran the DEA program, who said, look, we had them, and because the Obama people wanted to get this Iran deal, they made us pull back, and tons of cocaine wound up in circulation in the United States. It just doesn't, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was, oh, you know, the Koch brothers are alleging something, or some longtime enemy of the Obama people, but these are Obama's own employees, dozens of them. It's just hard to see their motive for lying about this.
When you say Obama's, I mean, these were people who worked in the federal government when Barack Obama was president.
In the agencies, their boss was Barack Obama. His picture hung in their office.
You've got thousands of federal employees now.
Correct.
Are they Trump's people when they're not going along with the program?
Well, it's like 80% of federal employees vote Democrat. So I don't think they were, you know, probably not a lot of right-wingers, right?
My point is, they had an agenda. They didn't like the Iran deal. And I think that they're now kind of trying to get their rocks off by trying to kind of talk to this reporter to talk it down. Let me say two other things.
So they're lying.
Well,
all these people are lying about the same thing, is what you're saying. Why not just criticize the Iran deal? Wouldn't that be easier?
Well, they should be doing that if that's what they thought. There was been no war with Hezbollah, just parenthetically, since 2006.
Right.
And the Iranians do not have a nuclear weapon. Again, I don't think there's a connection. I believe these very senior people from the Obama administration who have, since the publication of this Politico story, said there's nothing to it in the most vehement terms that they can.
Well, because it's horrifying and it reflects so poorly on them. But it doesn't answer the question in the specifics. So the piece says specifically, Hezbollah's main arms dealer was nabbed by an Eastern European government. The United States could have extradited him, but chose not to because it didn't want to queer the deal.
It actually doesn't say that. What it says is that they didn't put sufficient pressure on. And in fact, as a factual matter, the U.S. condemned the Czech Republic for not releasing this guy.
But we didn't get him. I mean, we condemn all kinds of things all the time. Look, this is just the allegation, and the guy is back in Beirut selling arms.
Right. So somehow to attribute that to Barack Obama because the Czech Republic held a guy that they wouldn't release to the United States, and that ultimately they did release into his own, somehow or other, that, again, that's Benghazi stuff.
It's Benghazi I don't know. Stuff. I mean, look, I don't want to address Benghazi because it's an entirely different story and a different fact set. But this piece alleges that tons of cocaine made it into this country, and the Obama administration knew, the DEA knew it was coming into the country. I mean, that doesn't seem to be much debate about that.
Well,
that seems like a big deal to me, given the toll that drugs have taken on the country in the last 10 years.
Right. I mean, nuclear weapons would take a much bigger toll on the world. Okay. Again, I don't subscribe to the notion.
So it is a trade-off. You're saying that
I don't subscribe.
More people
to
die
the
of
premise
drugs here, but we got the
I don't subscribe. No, and there would be people dying who are United States citizens. I don't subscribe to the premise of the article, but the fact of the matter is, I think if it were true, it still was a deal that was worth.
You just proved the premise of the article. But thank you, Richard. I appreciate it.